Welcome back to another edition of the Brew with Matt and Mike. Thank you guys so much for joining us again. It's a glorious Sunday after another great Badger win. And down here in the sunshine, I'm just listening to Matt complain about all the snow up north, hanging out here down in Puerto Rico, feeling pretty good about myself after another session of salsa and sunshine this past weekend for me. So hopefully Badger fans are feeling good, feeling groovy, having a good weekend, filled with some NFL games. I think there's a national championship coming up. It's a great sports weekend, but let's just get into what we saw yesterday. The Badgers handle their business against Rutgers. It got a little sketchy there in the second half. They kind of took their foot off the gas a little bit. Some foul calls that may or may not be questionable, depending on who you're rooting for. But I thought the Badgers looked absolutely excellent yesterday. Didn't play with their food. Got up really big early. Took care of business in the first half and kind of coasted their way into another win. Matt was actually at the game yesterday. So what was the Kohl Center like? What was the atmosphere in the Kohl Center like on a Saturday afternoon against a mid Big Ten team?
Yeah, so there was, I would say, a near snowstorm in Wisconsin yesterday. The roads were rough coming from kind of the Milwaukee area over to Madison, making my way over to the game. Took a minute to get there. I got there late because I had a prior conflict. And yeah, it was brutal. But with that being said, the upper bowl, like the upper deck, was pretty much, to capacity. So I thought it was really good. Don't get me wrong, the crowd wasn't raucous. It wasn't some great loud environment, but seats were filled. Asses were in seats, so I think that's a very good thing. So I would give, for Kohl Center standards, I thought it was an A plus. I thought it was really good. I was super impressed that Wisconsin's not ranked right now. Rutgers is a bottom tier Big Ten team. Snowstorm. Good job, Wisconsin. You did well.
Way to go, Fanaticos. And what did you see during the game? And I mean, you got to see stuff in person. So it's always, we talked a little bit off camera. It's always a little bit different when you go to the game versus what you get to see on TV. I can be a little bit more analytical because the viewing point is a little bit different, but you get the vibe of the team and how good guys are and kind of more confidence thing, especially in the arena. So today, you've been to a couple of different games. And I would say comparing the energy and the vibe and the cohesiveness of the group, especially in timeouts or what you see when you're watching some smaller stuff, smaller details, body language, team stuff. What have you seen from this team grown since the last time you were there? I think you were at the Marquette game, right?
Yeah, so overall, the vibes were just super, super good. What I'm seeing from the team is everyone celebrating each other's successes. The ball is zipping around. It is moving. The team feels super cohesive. Just really good energy in that arena yesterday. And it is a little bit different. Even though they were cooking against Marquette, there's just a little bit different of an energy and a vibe to this team right now. So I'm really, really encouraged by what I'm seeing. But yeah, super high level offense. The ball is moving. Saw a lot of cross court passes, making the pass 2 passes away, and just high level passes from Wisconsin. Rhodey particularly had some great passes. Boyd getting his feet into the lane and creating for others, getting that ball zipping around. It's some high level stuff. We witnessed, especially that first half. That's as good as college basketball as you're going to see. It was high level offensive basketball from Wisconsin.
Yeah, I completely agree. The things that I saw early is things we have talked about on the show and what we were hoping that would happen with this team is moving the ball a little bit better. They're really understanding their spacing and they're doing a much better job in this like Euro 5-out motion. One of the biggest things that I've seen is their down screening. They call it the pistol action or zoom action, where the ball is at the very top with a big man, and then there's a guard on the wing and a guard in the corner. They've started to figure out how to attack those situations in terms of setting the down screen for the guy. And if they try and bracket or kind of like switch, basically they zone up the corners. They're doing a great job of setting the down screen and finding the guy in the corner. They've gotten a couple of open threes out of that, as well as they've done a much better job of attacking the angle and attacking towards the elbow, especially out of those wing ball screens. They're getting more depth on their offense, and the ball is just zipping around with that. Also, we've seen now, and something we've suggested here is Rhodey is taking a lot more of the point guard responsibilities. It's happened the last 2 games. In Minnesota, he had a very nice stretch in the first half and a little bit of a stretch in the second half. And then the same thing happened. Coach Gard is putting him in right around that under 16 under that under 16 timeout. When Blackwell and Boyd are going out of the game, he's putting Rhodey at the main point guard position, especially when Boyd comes out the game. And Rhodey is doing an absolutely fantastic job of running the point. He's getting guys involved. For me, he's their best pick and roll player. He had an absolutely disgusting left-handed one-hand skip pass that was a dime to Braden Carrington on the right side of the floor. That's a super challenging offhand pass. Try and throw a full court skip pass if you're just messing around in the gym and see how hard that is. Just coming off the dribble, one-handed, high level skill right there. People, you don't really see that a lot. And for him to do that, it's great. Obviously, we saw a nice little burst of confidence from Will Garlock. He came in, had had an offensive rebound, looked great coming in. And one of my favorite things he did today was the offensive rebound where he got it out of his zone, came down, was swarmed by a bunch of Rutgers defenders, took his time, kept the ball super high, and finished with a right-hand jump hook. For me, that is huge growth. If we saw him earlier in the year, he was looking to pass that out. He was not trying to shoot. He thought the basket was a place of fear. And now we're looking at him being like, no, I'm a giant human. I'm going to deal with this. You're going to have to deal with all this giantness over here. And so it was great to see that. Kinzinger got in some minutes there. I saw him, attack the lane, shoot a pull-up. Hopefully, he can start finding a little bit of offense. But, I like what he's doing offensively. And then, continuing with Braden Carrington. That dude is shooting the leather off the ball right now. He's playing with such supreme confidence coming off the bench. Man, this team is clicking, and it's fun to see.
Yeah, and you talk about good passing. I just want to throw out another shout out for Boyd. And this is an attention to detail thing. And I know when Bo Ryan was there, you guys did passing and catching drills every day for 30 minutes. And I believe they still do a lot of passing and catching drills. A little attention to detail is just where do you have that pass go? Like, are you throwing it outside his body or you hitting him right in the numbers, right in stride? Nick Boyd's had some really accurate passes where there's a pick and pop with Nolan Winter. He hit him right in stride, right at the number, so Nolan Winter can go up and shoot that nice and fluidly. So got to give a shout out to Nick Boyd here. Nick Boyd, man, I in particular was pretty hard on him earlier in the year, and you two had, your feedback, but my goodness, he's basically playing perfect from the point guard spot. 32 points yesterday, 8 of 16 shooting, 14 of 15 from the free throw line, 9 assists and 1 turnover. You look at that and you go to the last 3 games, he has 19 assists to 3 turnovers. I mean, that is just, actually, I think it might be 2 turnovers. 19 assists to 2 turnovers, it might be. Double check me, anyone who wants to look that up. But unbelievable. And he has found that balance that is just changing the level and the ceiling to this team, where he is getting his feet into the lane and he is either creating for himself or he's getting that ball zipping around and creating great looks for his teammates. And yeah, he's quickly entering John Tonje territory where he could end up being a very beloved one-year player where he is looked at as a true Badger because he has the potential to lead these Badgers deep into the tournament. If he keeps up this level of play, I'm not saying he's going to go 19 assists to 2 turnovers in the span of 3 games. But this ball zipping around, these looks he's creating for his teammates and himself, it is super good. He is the engine that is driving this team, and he's doing a fantastic job. So I got to give a shout out to Nick Boyd. I'm quickly turning into a huge fan. I wasn't a hater, but I was a critiquer of a lot of things going on. He was making me a little angry about a month ago, and now I'm like, Holy cow, this is everything you could ask for and more. It's been incredible. So shout out to Nick Boyd. Obviously, he's watching the Brew and listening to me. I'm just kidding. But no, he's doing a fantastic job. And, Mike, the question I have for you after that little shout-out for Nick Boyd is obviously shots are starting to fall for Wisconsin. Against UWM and Purdue, they win a combined 8 of 47 from 3. And these last 4 games in this win streak, they're shooting 51 for 126 from 3, which is 40.5%. The team's percentage is now up to 34.4. You knew this team could shoot a little bit better than they were shooting. They're obviously very hot, but it's more than just the shots going in. What are you seeing from this team? What changes have you seen in this team that is leading to this higher level of play outside of obviously the ball going through the hoop?
I mean, you can just see guys are shooting with more confidence right now. And there's a couple things that go with that is the quality of looks that they're getting. So we were kind of talking about earlier, we had always talked about, especially early, side to side swing passes to 3-point shots are actually the lowest percentage shots. So if you receive it from the top of the key to the wing, it's one of the lower percentage shots that you're going to get, particularly against an inside out. So you get a paint touch and you get the ball out to the 3-point line. Those are the best generated 3-point looks. Those are the highest percentage 3-point looks. It's very simple. It's not an actually very complicated thing. Think about it when you're shooting baskets and you're getting a rebounder. Where does the ball come from? Also, direct line of sight. So you get to catch the ball and you get to look. You don't have to look to your left and then kind of relocate the basket. So for them, their depth of offense has changed and their understanding of the Euro motion has changed. I talked about a little earlier in the show of they're doing a great job of down screening on that zoom action. And it is a great thing to see because when teams start to bracket or try to kind of zone that up, they're getting a really good look out of the corner. And that's the easiest shot. The corner three and the very top of the key are the easiest shots, as well as because of the spacing that is happening with Nolan Winter now knocking shots down at a higher clip. You're starting to see, as well as Braden Carrington, you're seeing more space for Boyd and Blackwell to get in there, which then just it's kind of a snowball effect, right? You knock down a couple of shots, there's more space. Those guys can get in the lane, get to the paint, put pressure on the rim. Then all of a sudden you got to collapse, and you're getting even better looks. And the last thing is guys are really comfortable and getting much more comfortable knowing when they're going to get shots, because that's half the battle of an offensive thing. Is for me, I always struggle on teams, especially when I get to teams, if I have to replace somebody or get into a team later in the season, it's hard to figure out where I'm getting my shots and where those shots are going to come from. And this team is now understanding who should take shots, time and score, who's going to get those shots, and what is a good shot for our team, and personally, what is a good shot for each individual player. And when you have confidence and know that, it makes your shooting percentage go up. So and that's part of the chemistry thing that we've been talking about is chemistry is passing the ball, but it's also knowing when I should be shooting a shot. It's a very high level thing of like, oh yeah, this is my shot. This is what we worked for. Coaches have faith in me. Coaches tell me, hey, this is a good look for us through film work, through practice, through your maturation as a team. And so it's great to see these guys do that, and that's why the percentage is going up, as well as just confidence throughout the season, and that confidence boost that they got at Michigan. This swagger is different. Going into Michigan, going in and understanding, hey, they figured out how to win a tough game. Now all of a sudden they've been building on that, and it's great to see because confidence is such an interesting aspect to basketball. It's such an important aspect to basketball, and they were kind of lacking that early. And now you see they got their swagger. They swagger like us. They got their swagger back. It's great to see them. They talked about it a lot in press conferences and other places, but they got it right now, and it's really great to see when teams do that.
Yeah, and I just want to fact check myself from earlier with Boyd. It's 19 assists to 2 turnovers. Had a little typo in my notes. I thought it was 2. I accidentally typed in 3. 19 assists to 2 turnovers in the last 3 games is what it was.
Jordan Taylor territory right there. That's Jordan Taylor territory, which is elite company.
Yes, sir. And what's so crazy about it is how fast Nick Boyd is. When you can move that fast and you're only turning the ball over 2 times in 3 games, that's incredible. And yeah, you look at Boyd's stats from the last 4 games, 40% from 3, 46% from the field, 21.3 points per game, and 6 assists per game. And he's averaging 9.5 free throws attempted per game, which is insane.
That's a lot.
That is insane.
He's a merchant. Him and Blackwell are merchants right now. He shot 16 free throws last game? Getting to the paint, getting to the rim, getting into people's bodies. Yeah, he's being a free throw merchant. It's awesome to see. He's really figured out this team. He really has.
And I said this a while ago, but I believe there was a way for Boyd to get his own and to also lift up his teammates and to drop dimes, because Tanjay was a scoring wing, so obviously he's not going to be the guy dropping dimes for everybody. But it felt like within the team flow, he was able to put up a lot of points and also be a positive influence on his teammates and put up big numbers on winning teams and winning games. So, and I'm seeing that from Boyd now. He's doing the exact same thing. He's scoring more now, but he's also lifting up his teammates, which I didn't think he was doing earlier in the season. And my big takeaway from that is Gard is kind of proving that you give him an athlete and he will do some great things with that athlete, because you look at Boyd, you look at Tanjay, and they did things at Wisconsin at the highest level of competition that they
Store,
played
AJ
at,
Store.
and Store too. And they do things that they couldn't do anywhere else, or didn't do anywhere else. I shouldn't say couldn't. They didn't do that anywhere else. And you look at Johnny, and I hate to say it, but you look at what Johnny's done. The pros is a different game, but Johnny played out of his mind as a sophomore, and it hasn't been that story professionally for him. Gard, you give him a legit athlete, it's pretty much proven at this point. You give him an athlete, and he's going to do some good things with that athlete, because a lot of teams will have like 3 really good athletes, and Wisconsin's lucky to get one of those like next level athletes. And when they do, Gard does a pretty good job with that athlete. So shout out to Gard there. And one thing I want to also address is obviously they're shooting the ball really well, but let's say, and it's going to happen, Wisconsin has a game where they don't shoot the ball too well. Do you think they're better equipped now to grind out a game when the shot's not falling?
Absolutely. Their defense has picked up. Defensively, they're much more cohesive right now in terms of their switching stuff. They're kind of figuring out where to switch, how to triple switch out of stuff on the backside. I mean, the big thing with them right now is Blackwell and Boyd are doing a heck of a job, and Rhodey are doing a heck of a job on these switches on big guys. So, and then also the bigs are holding up. Winter had their top scorer from Rutgers yesterday. Was what was his name? It wasn't Davis.
I thought Francis was their leading scorer.
Francis, that's what it was. Yeah, Francis. He had Francis, who's kind of their go guy, right? He's their guy that makes a lot of things go for them. And Winter did a great job of keeping him in front a lot yesterday on switches. We had Rapp coming back from injury. He had a couple of really good possessions defensively, figuring some stuff out. He moved his feet. Yeah, it's good to see him back in the rotation. I don't know exactly what his injury was. They didn't really say. But, he was moving laterally pretty well. Same thing with Belauskas. Belauskas is held up in switches. And that's the thing. Defensively, they're starting to hold up. They're starting to, be much more responsible, like man ball responsibilities. And they're holding themselves accountable in that way. So they are able to do that. And the other thing is they're more equipped now because they're throwing the ball down low. They're throwing the ball to Nolan Winter. They're throwing the ball out of these real motion into the roll guy better. And Winter has figured out, oh, yeah, I'm a giant human and I can score on the block too. He's looking way more comfortable these last 4 games than he was the first part of the season, putting the ball down, making moves around the basket, and finishing over guys, which is huge, right? I was asking for that against the Michigan game when they were switching the Euro motion. They put a point guard on him. I'm like, yo, throw him the rock. He's huge. He's a giant lob target. Throw him the ball. He's got a little guy on him. He'll finish over the top. Next game against Minnesota, he gets six touches in the paint. Bang. They clearly saw it in film. They said, we have to go there. We have to feed him, because he also, like, as a big man who runs and is athletic, that changes the dynamic, right? It's an easier paint touch than, having Nick Boyd try and continually put pressure on the rim. Same with Blackwell. It's an easier paint touch. It's a pass paint touch, what's faster. So that's the thing right now, is they have a more of an inside-out game, and that's why they're going to be more successful. They're starting to figure out to win in multiple ways, and that's a big thing when it comes to March, because styles make fights, right? Styles make matchups. They have to play different styles to win games in March, and they're learning how to do that now, and it's awesome.
Absolutely. And I will say shout out to Francis from Rutgers, because my buddy Mike had a parlay yesterday on the game, and all the Badgers hit it. And the only thing he had for Rutgers was Francis needed to score 13 points. And he had 0 points heading into that second half, and a few minutes into that second half, then he started cooking. What I noticed watching Francis was Wisconsin made an adjustment on him, because I hate to say it, but Wisconsin had that game won. I wanted to see my buddy succeed. You got to root for your friends. If you're not rooting for your friends, you're not a real friend. So I was wanting Francis to get his buckets, and he started cooking in that second half. And I did notice Wisconsin made an adjustment. They were in drop coverage against Francis at first.
Yep.
And then he started getting some buckets, and he got up some floaters. And I know Wisconsin will live with mid-range and some floaters. And he proved, hey, I can knock these down. I'm going to knock these down today. And then Wisconsin really started hitting him hard in the hedge, and Winter's defense on him was tough. That was tough. Winter moving his feet, as you kind of hit. Like, that was really, really impressive because I wanted to see him score. And it's like Wisconsin wasn't making it easy after that. I needed him to get to that point total. And so
Uh,
that is something kind of keep my eye on Francis. I noticed that adjustment from Wisconsin. And yeah, shout out to Francis for helping my buddy out. He had a successful parlay because of you clutching it out in that second half. And then I want to say I stuck around a little bit afterwards, just socializing, hanging out, and saw Austin Rapp putting a little extra work at the game. He was running up and down the court, doing some working with the manager and kind of getting some cardio in on his own, which I respect, getting his shots up. And I will say, he definitely is a bit hobbled right now. The adrenaline wore off. He wasn't running up and down the court super fluidly.
yeah.
So that was noticeable to me, but shout out to him for getting the work in. He had a few open looks that he missed. I liked his hustle, and he chased down some balls pretty well. But I like that he's putting a little extra work in. But I think this was a great recap, and I think this is a solid finishing point. But before we do, I had a random memory yesterday, just thinking about your playing career at Wisconsin. And
Oh
I
boy.
remember Marshall Henderson, before the game
Yes.
against Ole Miss, sent out like a tweet, and he's like, "Hey, I can't wait to hoop against Mike Bruzewicz. That guy is a hooper. He seems like a cool dude." And then you were asked about it by the media. And at that time, Henderson was a big name. He was a big name. And you
Was.
kind of were just like, yeah, I don't really care about that. I just got to play. My question to you, Mike, why didn't you bro it up a little bit more with Marshall Henderson? That kind of just kind of came across my mind. Why didn't you bro it up with him a little bit more? And I know later on, I think I can predict what you're going to say because I'm plugged in on this stuff. You teamed up with him in the TBT. You teamed up with him in the TBT.
Yes.
Later.
We
So
won some
I
games
already
together.
But
Hey, look at you, look at you. You know your stuff. You know your stuff. No, I just remember at the time, because there was one of my more proud moments of my Badger career is I got named the top 25 hottest guys in March, and
yeah, your teammates weren't happy.
My teammates. Were
I know what's coming out of your mouth.
They knew they were not happy. They were like, "Yo, what? How is Mike?" I'm like, "Yo, soy super guapo. I'm a handsome dude. Give me my props." They were mad.
And not to cut you off, because this is a
good.
great story, but I remember watching that video where they're asking around the locker room, and I know they were, they're busting your balls and stuff, but I gotta say it was kind of mean spirited. I'm not trying to be soft here, but it was a little. They weren't too nice to you. They were jealous that you were in the top 25 good-looking men of March.
I don't care. Their opinions mean nothing. They're peasants. They were peasants. They were just very jealous. Let's just put it that way. And I have red hair, so they were like, "Yo, this redheaded kid came in and took our spot. Like, what's going on?" So for me, no, it was not a problem. That came out, and then I think the quote was, "He just looks like a good time to hang out with," which I appreciate. I think I am a great time to hang out with. But at the time, it was very serious. Like I wanted to finish out my career. We were going to play them in the tournament. We kind of felt like we got a little bit snubbed with our seeding as well. We were like, man, we got to play. And we knew Ole Miss was good. Like their team was good. They had just went through and beat everybody in the SEC. They beat Kentucky. They ran through stuff. So, and I knew matchup wise, I needed to try and keep my edge because I was actually going to be the one who ended up chasing him around a bunch. And in hindsight, that may have not been the best thing. I probably could have been better served, banging down low with their two bigs. But overall, it was super entertaining. Entertaining college basketball. But I just remember at the time, I was like, "No, let me lock in. Let me not try and get in the hoopla with him so much." In hindsight, maybe I should have. Maybe I should have retaliated a little bit differently. And then, yes, we did get together. We played in the basketball tournament, the TBT, together. He recruited me, hit me up, and we hung out. I'm an entertaining time, and I have a few stories. That man's a wild boy. That man's a wild boy out there. So, but he was a good time. He was, super cool dude. I was very thankful to play with him. We won 2 games in the TBT. We ended up losing in the Sweet 16 to the team that took second, I believe. They had like Langston Galloway. They had a really good team. But it was really fun. He's an entertaining guy. And he's had a super interesting hoops journey. Played in Iraq, played in Iran. He's played in the Middle East. He's had an interesting journey, to say the least. That's a vibe. But for me, it was at that time I was just in I got to win games and I got to be this leader, and so that was kind of how I was going about it.
Yeah, I remember that, and I kind of told you before the show that like your personality is a little different than what I perceived of you from the outside looking in. And I got his post right here. he said, "Can't wait to hoop against Mike Bruzewitz," with 4 exclamation points, all caps with Mike Bruzewitz. That dude got some serious swag. Lol, he seemed like a cool dude for real. And then in the interviews he was gushing about you, and you had a very pro response.
Yeah,
which,
just like, this is what it is.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really funny you say that, because many people don't. When I play basketball, and especially if I play overseas, I'm very, very intense. I'm very passionate. I kind of play like I'm a dick. In my head, like I play like an asshole, and I'll be an asshole on the floor, especially when I was younger. Now I'm a little bit more reserved, but I'm a little more chill, a little more like, hey, let's just keep the job, let's stay healthy, and keep making money. But I have that in me. And I think that's something that made me good at playing. It means I care. It gives me some confidence. But it's super funny because I'll play and then I'll go hang out with some guys or teammates know guys from other teams. We'll go have dinner or whatever, and they'll be like, "I did not think you were like this as a human." They're very confused by my personality after I leave the court. They're like, "Why you like? You're not You're not very intense in that sense. You're much more chill, much more relaxed, much more easygoing." So. Super normal for me, but yeah, I remember those days. It was fun.
100%. And I'm shocked you didn't notice anything. You didn't notice anything different about my setup here?
Yo, you're right. I thought that was John Lure.
No.
Oh my gosh, thank you. I made the wall, man. I don't have a. Hey, you need to send me a picture. We can put that right here.
Get it.
You're right behind you. I got you. I'm ready. Yo,
Yes, sir.
That's tough.
Yeah, no, I was in the storage room the other day, and there was this bin of I remember at the Wisconsin games, they used to have these I don't know, little booklets with a bunch of different stories about the Badger basketball team and all these different things.
The media guides. They gave you.
Yeah, the media guides, exactly, and they would have a poster, and young Matt would eat it up. So I was just had a little extra time. I was looking at old stuff in the storage room, organizing the room, and I came across that. I was like, I have to put it up there and see if you know.
Oh, that's amazing. Now that I do, because I looked at it, I was like, oh, that's different. But I thought it was John Lure. I look at it there because I was like, oh, and then I think that's me from my junior year. That looks like junior year Mike. That looks a little more cut up, a little less baby faced version of me.
Yes, sir. Buzz cut.
Oh yeah, because I had a buzz cuts junior and freshman. Yeah.
Let's go. So. Yeah, I thought you'd get a kick out of that.
But well, thank you for that. Hey, I'm blushing. I'm pea green with envy right now. Thank you.
So, ladies and gentlemen, yes, sir, Mike's got a brew. I got a brew. Thank you for watching the brew with us and making it to the end of this video. We will be back again soon. So hit that subscribe button so you do not miss a thing.